Hello, welcome to the garden today. We had one of those storms last night where we were possibly going to get like 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, so batten down the hatches, right? But a little while ago, we have some friends that are just moved to the area from Virginia Beach, wanted to be able to start a container gardener, so we had some volunteer tomatoes beside our chicken run. And I sent a picture. I said, hey, do you want me to try to transplant these for you? They said, absolutely. I've never tried that before. I've never tried in July to try to just take a shovel, grab some plants that have opted to grow somewhere and put them in a pot to see how they have done. They've done pretty well. Now, this was a decent sized tomato plant when I transplanted it. I did trim it a little bit. I took some of the suckers off and things, but it's put off some nice growth. It's got some great color, some blossoms on it. I have pretty high hopes for this producing. And of course, since I'm me, I have too many started for them. They wanted 3 or 4. I've got 5. But this is one that I just took a sucker off one of my plants and I rooted it. Hang on. I didn't pot this one yet, but if you just take a sucker off one of your tomato plants and put it in some water, they throw off a bunch of roots and you can pot them. So this one just got put in the pot yesterday, so it hasn't completely grabbed hold. You can see those leaves look a little wilty, but we'll see how that goes. I want to just take a walk around, see how the rain has affected the garden. We've been really dry. I don't remember the last time we had a good rainstorm. Of course, the rain blew over our rain gauge last night, but this is the amount of water that gathered in the container that was sitting here. Figured at least 1.5 inches, 2 inches of rain last night, which was very well needed. But I wanted to do that. I've got some of our potatoes that we harvested that were close to the surface that were sprouting a little bit, so I'm going to put those in the ground, let them give us hopefully a second wave of potatoes. I don't know, we'll see what else comes to mind while we're out here. This space back here is a place that we just harvested potatoes from. They did really well, particularly in this space right here. And I've also decided to not fight it. This whole back part here has been potatoes now. This will be its 4th season for potatoes. This year I tried to plant other things with the idea of, that's been enough potatoes in that space. Well, apparently I miss enough that the potatoes just completely took over. So the ones that I've chosen are like these guys right here. One, this green, if your potatoes are that green, they've been exposed to the sun. Don't eat these are poisonous. To what degree, I am unsure, but I've been told you don't eat the green potatoes. But we've got sprouts. So all the ones that have little sprouts on them, they were just close to the surface and started to sprout, they're gonna go in the ground right here. I'm probably gonna give them about 1 foot in between and 1 foot between rows. It's not going to be a giant bumper crop, but we can't eat these anyway, so might as well put them in the ground and see if we can get a little bit more potatoes. Look at these. Pop this off. Look at these beautiful tomatoes. Now, I think the cool thing, I just took that leaf off of there. These are the ones that have been exposed to the sun, and they're getting that purpling, and then these haven't. Now that they're exposed, these will start turning purple too. Look how pretty those are. Those gorgeous. These Amish paste, I am just so very happy with. They're all to the top or almost to the top of the trellis. Some are above. That's about a 6-foot trellis, just a little bit over, I think. We've got some beautiful clusters of fruit here. The plants look really good to me. This is the first time I've trellised this way. This was my way of having a cattle panel trellis without having a cattle panel. We had the conduit, we had the welded wire, and so we just kind of put the two together to make a cattle panel like trellis. And I absolutely have loved it. It's just really easy to tie these up. I just come through, I like this just jute string, and I just loop it over here and then just tie it loosely. We want to be able to let the plant move in the wind. And so far so good. My husband asked, he said, what are you going to do when they're up over the trellis? And I said, just let them go. Let them go wild. I don't like zucchini to take over my world. So this is the only place I currently have zucchini. There's 3 plants in there. I currently have a mixing bowl size of zucchini on the counter that needs to be processed. I'm very much a texture person, and there's sometimes like the texture of cooked zucchini I don't exactly love. I found I really like it shredded. Like we'll shred it and saute it with what other vegetables we have coming out of the garden, put it in quesadillas. Something that I've been making this year, which is wonderful, is like zucchini fritters, where you just shred your zucchini. I usually do some red onion, garlic, salt and pepper, add some flour and egg enough to kind of bind it, and then just fry that in a pan, or kind of make that in a pan like similar to how you would make a pancake. And we just will eat that as a side. Something that we've discovered just out of, you're like, okay, my husband comes home for lunch and he only has half an hour, so I try to have something ready for him. I'm like, crap, how am I gonna make him? So I fried an egg and heated up one of those zucchini fritters I already had made. Made some toast, a little bit of mayo, one of those zucchini fritters, a little bit of cheese melted on those with a fried egg. Makes a fantastic sandwich. There is a robber fly, which I believe has caught or is about to catch a fly out of the garden. They're supposed to clear out lots of pests from your garden.
Which one?
Yes.
The big one?
Whichever ones need to be harvested. Looks like we have a minimum of 3.
So I'm going to say that one needed to be harvested.
That is true. 1.
That one.
That one definitely need to be harvested. That one.
That one. Looks like that's it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that replaces what we used in dinner tonight.
Use that much zucchini?
Yeah.
Wow. No wonder I feel like Superman.
You're always Superman. Almost always.
Uh-huh.
Missed it, but I have a cardinal, a garden cardinal this year. And he is in the garden all the time. And one of my friends told me, and I hadn't realized this, they said if there's a cardinal around, it's showing that you have an angel near. So I have an angel in the garden on a regular basis. All right, my husband is gathering some tools and supplies. Chicken tractor is up here. We move it a couple times a day, and I was standing next to it as Luke was moving it, and I said, is that wire sticking out like that before? Right here, like this right here is pried up, and it was not before. This was pried away, this was pulled away. Down here, like this wire being pulled out here, it's telling us that there was something, we assume probably a raccoon, that either last night or at some point recently was kind of on its way around the tractor looking for a point of entry. This is its 5th summer. We did have one night, I was asleep, and my husband came up, got into bed, and like instantly jumped up. And I said, you know what? And he said, chickens, and took off. And so he had heard the chickens squawk, and they were all off their perch. There was nothing inside. We think they were parked under this big maple tree that night. We think there must have been a coon that came down and landed on top. If this were right here and you close that, can you? That's what I was thinking. All right, so not perfect. I'm sure there's a way that a very big, very smart raccoon could get in here, but we secured some places where I felt that the wire was a little loose. We put a stop behind the door so it couldn't push open.
Okay, that's okay.
Aw. So I planted these onions in pots to be able to start transplanting out as I'm planting the fall garden. Some of them germinated pretty well, or reasonably well. Some of them didn't. Figure I'd add some more seeds. Onions are one of those things, they don't hold their germination rate real well. So I figured I might as well get them in the ground, see what happens. Last year I had some decent luck planting some fall onions in this way. I'm hoping if I'm a little more intentional, mulch a little bit better, maybe I'll have even better luck in onions to harvest earlier. Here is our tower of basil. It's doing okay. I have told my husband I'm kind of a lousy container gardener, I've decided. Maybe I'm just a little too lazy in terms of the management. But we planted 5 different kinds of basil. And the interesting thing is the basil that we planted inside to transplant out, the Genovese and the lettuce leaf, germinated well inside, but not well in here. And then the cinnamon basil and the lemon basil that we planted also planted inside to transplant out that didn't do well, did well here. So it's kind of weird. I planted these with the idea of making tea. This is good. This is the cinnamon basil. I like it. It's kind of a refreshing, kind of earthy flavor. This is the lemon basil. And if you could smell it, it smells like a Fruit Loop. When you open up a box of Fruit Loops, this is what it smells like. This one I really enjoy. I haven't really sweetened it yet. But I think if you added just a touch of honey with that real strong smell of lemon, it would just be absolutely magical. Pea beets. I've got a few vegetables that I'm just not good about eating. Beans, string beans is one of them. I hate the texture of string beans. I keep trying because they're so prolific. They're such a great thing to plant. I don't like them. So I tend to do dried beans because I do like black beans and that kind of thing. The other thing I don't particularly care for is beets. But again, I want to. They're good for me. It's another option to grow kind of in cooler weather. Either I figure out a way to prepare beets, so I like them. I have found I do like them roasted, like especially a combination of roasted root vegetables. I do like. Figure these particular cells are sitting empty anyway. Might as well put them in the ground or put them in the green stock here. Worst case scenario, it's something to feed the chickens later. Best case scenario, I figure out a way to prepare beets that both my husband and I enjoy, because that's one of those things that neither of us enjoy all that much. But if there is a way to enjoy it fresh out of the garden and prepared correctly, is it. So that's the goal.